Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to change a propeller on your DJI Neo. Now, before we swap a propeller, let's go over a few quick tips. It's good practice to inspect your propellers before each flight. A quick visual inspection to check for any chips, cracks, or other damage. If you do find any damage at all, don't mess around, just replace them. Buying new propellers is a lot cheaper than replacing or fixing a lost or damaged drone. DJI also recommends checking the tightness of the screws after every 15 hours of flight or about 50 flights. If you do find a loose screw, tighten it down. If it won't stay tight, it's best to replace the propeller and screw from another package. Once screws are removed, they should not be reused. And of course, while you're inspecting those propellers, it is a good idea to keep them clean and wipe off any accumulated debris. Okay, let's change a propeller. Now, I actually don't have any damaged propellers, which is kind of a surprise considering how many times my Neo has taken a tumble from me hitting trees, walls, or just being a butterfingers. So I'm just going to randomly choose one to replace. Installing a propeller to the correct motor is super important because two motors spin clockwise and two spin counterclockwise. Fortunately, DJI has made it really easy to know which props go where. The propeller packaging is labeled to indicate the correct motor for installation. Orient the package with your drone and the label reveals the correct propellers for each motor. I am replacing the propeller on this motor, so I need to use package A. There are also markings on both the propellers and the arms of the drone to assist with installation. Marked propellers get installed on the motors with a corresponding mark on the arm, and unmarked propellers get installed on the motors without a mark on the arm. If you are using the propeller guards that came with your Neo, you will need to remove them first. There are 5 hooks holding the guards in place. 2 at one end, 2 at the other end, and 1 in the middle. Using your fingernail, release all 4 hooks on both ends first, and then remove the guard by pushing it away from the drone at the center. To remove the old propeller, pinch it or the motor with your thumb and index finger to keep it from turning. And use the screwdriver that came with your drone to remove both screws by turning them counterclockwise. The propellers and screws are considered consumable components, so all used items should be discarded. It is, however, good practice to hang on to the screws until you get the new propeller installed. I'll explain why in just a little bit. If it's the first time you're replacing propellers on a new drone and you're having trouble removing a screw, my recommendation is to contact DJI support first before trying other methods to remove the screw. Over the years, I have had a number of comments from viewers complaining about overly tight screws that they could not remove. Contacting DJI first may help you avoid stripping the screw head or worse. Okay, with the screws out and the propeller off, installation is just as easy. Make sure you have the correct propeller for the motor and it is in the same upwards orientation as the installed propellers. Next, place it on the motor shaft, lining up the screw holes. You may have to turn it a bit to get the screw holes to line up and sit flush. Once it is correctly placed, insert the new screws and turn them clockwise to tighten them down. Now these are really tiny screws, so you want to make sure they are going in straight and you definitely do not want to over tighten them. That's why it's recommended to use the screwdriver that came with your Neo or a similar sized one. Using a larger screwdriver could result in over tightened screws or damage. The screws should go in easily with very little resistance. If it's requiring too much force, back the screw out, take the used screw and thread it in and out a few times before trying the new screw again. All the screws come with a tiny dab of thread lock on them, so if you're feeling too much resistance putting in a new screw, there may be a bit of extra thread lock gumming up the works. Using an old screw can be helpful in removing some of the excess. Once you have the new propeller on and tightened, give it a quick visual inspection and a few spins with your finger to make sure it is on correctly and moving freely. It's also a good time to check one last time that the propeller markings or lack of markings match that of the arm they are installed on. If everything looks good, you're probably ready to go. However, I recommend spinning up the motors in a safe space and making sure the drone hovers and moves normally before heading out for a regular flight. And that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to inspect those props often and replace as necessary. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.